Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. Today we have the stuff dreams are made of, the Bethune DB28 Yellow Tones. If you love this watch, email Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. The first thing you need to know about this watch, it debuted in 2019. The next thing you need to know, it is not made of gold. This is all fired grade 5 titanium. Bethune has a proprietary process using heat and oxygen to create the color that you see here. They're capable of creating gold, a sort of burgundy and blue, and they use it judiciously across their model range. This was their debut use of the yellow tone on titanium. So the watch is probably smaller than you think. 42.6 millimeters in diameter, but only 11.7 millimeters thick. It's about half a millimeter thinner than a Rolex Daytona. The lugs here are large, but they are also of variable geometry. So at full extension, they're 55 millimeters across the wrist, but when compressed, they're only 51.1. We have a 26 millimeter spacing in between the lugs. All in sapphire and titanium, the watch is feather light. And on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see it wears quite well. This is a good fit, and it's flat too, so if you do want to fit it underneath the cuff, it's going to clear. Taking a look down the barrel, you can see why I say don't worry so much about the span of the lugs, because they can move, and they will move to match the shape of your forearm. So I'd say on these lugs, which are fairly long, Bethune has others if you want to swap, but it would fit a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. And it's true. When the watch goes back for service, if you want to swap lugs, you can. There are several different lengths available, and unlike most brands, Bethune will customize a watch that's already been sold once. Taking a quick look at the buckle, you can see a combination of yellow tones, and note the differential yellow tones between the lighter pin and the darker buckle. You'll see the same applied to the case. Now this is right here a Bethune factory strap with large rectangular scale alligator leather on the top and then small round scale on the bottom. The idea being to use gator on both sides to create a more durable strap. It costs a few $100s more, but a watch like this is worth it. Taking a quick look, we have a monotone stitch, dark brown, semi-gloss. You can see there is a sheer cut edge that's been lacquered for a clean, seamless finish. And then you can see the company name right there. The Bethune watches typically feature a buckle that echoes the design of the case, and so you can see the design of the lugs and then the design of the buckle, and there's a clear family resemblance. Right here we have the little torpedo tips, or the ogival cones, the design continuity on almost, not all, but almost all Bethune watches since the original DB1 chronograph of 2002, the first product, and that's the last styling vestige of that watch. You can see that the lugs are open, airy, evacuated, and that they pivot at the case center. They are spring-loaded. The crown, in order to protect it from contact with the floating lugs, it is a screw-down crown, so the watch is 30 meters water-resistant. It's a very stout 30 because the crown screws down. You can see it has a double row knurling to make it easier to grip. Taking a quick look, you can see that we do have a little pusher adjuster on the flank. That is used for adjusting the moon phase, which runs off a drive shaft and a bevel gear. You can see that there's a wheel, a bevel gear, and then a shaft that turns the spherical moon phase. So patents, several. The variable geometry floating lug is patented. The moon phase, which is a sphere that needs only one adjustment every 122 years, this is patented. And you can see it is 1/2 golden toned and 1/2 white palladium. Heat is applied, so 1/2 of the sphere turns golden, the other half, the palladium, stays white. And again, one adjustment every 122 years. We have 1, 2, 3 shock protection springs for the balance staff. This is patented. It's called triple parachute. We have steel fired springs outboard bracing the flanks of the balance bridge, and then its center Inca block. And the idea here is that it improves durability as it's harder to damage the balance staff pivot, but it also improves chronometry because the pivot is displaced less and less often from its pivot cup, so the watch keeps better time. The balance, patented. This is the 2016 patent balance. Bethune has at least 10. Denis Flageolet, co-founder and watchmaking lead of Bethune to this day, will throw out the old balance and create a new one every time he's able to improve the percentage of total mass in the rim, reduce the effect of aerodynamic drag, and, most importantly, reduce the effects of temperature change on timing. See that hairspring? Look carefully under my finger and under the balance bridge. It's two pieces clamped together. The hairspring alloy is delivered to de Bethune, but once they have it, they clip it in two, shape it by hand, and then micro clamp it back together so it breathes concentrically in any position like an overcoil hairspring, but it's more shock resistant and flatter like a flat hairspring. That curve is patented. Twin self-adjusting barrels. You get 6 days of manual wind power reserve, but you cannot accidentally overwind them. So the self-adjusting barrels, which protect you from overwinding by accident, patented. So lots of patented features on this watch, protected by no fewer than 6. When you buy a de Bethune, that's where the money goes, engineering and watchmaking. And they make their dials, cases, and movements in-house, so you're paying for the watch on your wrist, not to buy sports cars and castles for the people who run the brand. And FYI, my company, the 1916 company, owns the brand. Lots to love. In terms of finish, look at all this mirror polish. On most high-end watches, even many Geneva Seal, the only mirror polish, specular finish, poly noir, or black polish, maybe on screw heads. Oh, we have polished screws here, but look at the huge mirror polished facets. All of this executed with a diamond paste. The barrel caps have been solarized, and if you look very carefully, you can see that the ratchet wheel teeth have been micro-beveled internally. All of the hour indices are spherical globes of grade 5 titanium, and by the way, the case is grade 5 tie. Now, it's true you could scratch through this coating because it's an oxide layer, and you could scratch through it, but if you did, it can be reapplied. Unlike PVD, de Bethune's oxidation is a heat application. It's not a layer of physically deposited vapor. So if it gets scratched, they just fire it again to reestablish the color when it goes back to the factory. 4 Hertz beat rate again, a 6-day power reserve. All of this with a power reserve indicator on the back that shows you in greater detail the individual days. Note satination, media blast, mirrored anglage, and so much engine-turned perlage on the case back. This watch simply has a ton of it. 38 jewels, and you can see the detail is unreal. Media blasting on the base plate. You can see the edges of the enormous deltoid barrel bridge with mile-wide mirrored chamfers or anglage. You'll also note Côte de Bethune or abrasive wheel stripes laid down across the bridges, and even the sinks for the jewels have been internally beveled. Take a look at the bridge for the balance. Notice how it's been rounded all the way around its surface area, and it's been mirror polished. That's a level of detail you'll find on few watches outside of Grubel Forsey and of course de Bethune. A wonderful watch from a brand that has absolute integrity and makes fewer than 400 watches a year. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916 company for purchase and pricing details.